So now what to do after the campaigns go live. So you have, set it up exactly like I've shown you. So maybe you're probably using a lead format right now. And you're looking to get more leads, appointments for your business, right? So bookings, trials, whatever the case might be. So this is the actual running of the campaigns. This is the juice of the orange, right? So this is where the difficulty most of the times comes in, because you have no idea what you're doing, what numbers you should be looking at. And when do I know what's a good ad? Why is all my money being spent on one ad? How long do I take to optimize the results? You know, what there's so many metrics on that Facebook ad, you just don't know what to look at. So this video is basically going to be going through what you need to look at to sustain your campaigns, right? So by now you should hopefully have gotten yourself a good offer. You probably should have gotten yourself a decent setup to get going. Now the last part, like I said, is to launch the campaigns and maintain it. Now if you don't do the offer properly, or the setup properly, you're going to quickly see it in the results as well, and I'll show you how to diagnose those processes as well to see when you should change up everything altogether. But let's have a first look at, obviously, I really kind of want to go through the mindset behind a lot of these things, because I think that is arguably the most important part. And if you don't do this and you don't have the proper mindset towards running, meta ads and Facebook ads, which is cold traffic, you'll never do well. You'll just be one of those people that just complain and say that meta ads doesn't work, Facebook ad doesn't work. It's obviously not the case, because billions of dollars, maybe even trillions of dollars are being spent into this marketing platform. So the reality is most people quit, and that's the biggest mistake they make. They don't understand that the fundamental truth that experienced marketers don't, which I'll get to in a second. And also you need to be able to understand that you need to work on what's in your control and what's not in it, right? So there are 4 levers we can always pull. I'll get to in a second. So basically, this is a reality check, right? So firstly, you have the planning cycle. So what happens is you're an advertiser, you run your first meta ads campaign, you follow some YouTube tutorials like this one, and then you spend $30, you don't get a lead, and you convince yourself meta ads doesn't work. Or maybe you spend $1,000 and you got maybe some leads, no payments, and you say, hey, Facebook ads doesn't work for my business, right? And then you maybe even try some agencies. Once again, maybe you spend 1-2 months with them, or even you spend maybe 30 days, didn't get the results you're after. Hey, Facebook ads doesn't work. That's a reality, right? So I know this because that's what I did as well. I had a previous business, and we spent about $20,000 to run our advertising, and we didn't make any return on investment. We didn't make anything actually. So then I basically gave up on Facebook ads for 3 years. I thought it doesn't work. But when you really think about it, that's a very silly sort of mindset to have, because people are spending billions of dollars on Facebook ads. And if you stop believing in the idea that, the world must conform to you rather than you must learn the skills and knowledge to make it work, you're never going to do well on advertising, especially on Facebook ads, because that is probably going to be the hardest but most rewardable one when it does work out. So the thing that happens is, and I'm going to show it to you because I think it's better if I show it to you on a quick drawing here. Imagine you have like a curve like this, okay? I don't like this color. Let's go green. So you got your time, all right, and then you got your money, let's call it return on investment. Okay. So basically what happens is you start running ads, right? And obviously immediately you're starting to lose money already. Let me change this to blue. Right? You're immediately losing money. Minus money, minus money. So you see Facebook taking $30, $50, $100 per day, and you're like, oh my god, right? So let's just say you've spent, it's been, I don't know, 30 days. Let's call this 30 days. You spent 30 days of money. and you spend $1,000, $10,000, or $5,000, and you got no return on investment, and you say, okay, Facebook ads is done. Doesn't work for my business because nobody in my business can run Facebook ads. They can only run Google ads, carousel ads. Okay, so you gave up and you join the 90% of business owners who think that Facebook ad doesn't work. Okay, alternatively, you actually stick to the process a bit and you actually wait for it to start giving you a bit of help, right? And you actually solve problems one by one. I'll actually go through the problems quite shortly. And that's when you start to have good results. That's when you start to make return on investment. Now, I'm not saying this is 30 days. It could be 60 days, it could be 90 days. I don't know how long it is. It's based on your knowledge and skills. But obviously, if you consistently learn from what you're doing from your previous ads, you're simply going to get better and you're going to, get to a return on investment faster. The faster you learn, the faster you get the return on investment. As simple as that, right? So the important thing to notice is that even if, let us say, you do run these ads and you don't get results, you shouldn't say, hey, I watched all of these, I didn't get any results. No, it should be, what did I not do? Or at least getting some support help to actually figure out through your own sort of brainstorming how it will work. So if you change your mindset towards this as whether you are, early in the advertising, late in advertising, and you want to improve your results or you're starting from scratch, you just need to understand that you need to give it a bit more time and you need to trust yourself, more importantly, to figure it out. Okay? So that's it. So I'm going to now go through the, like I said, the reality, right, is you launch a campaign, you get leads, you make money. Yes, that is eventually what it is. But just understand that it takes a bit more time. And I'm going to teach you, with all these changes being made in Meta ads, with Facebook ads, it's changing every single week. It's honestly very, very annoying, but it changes every single week, to focus on the 4 fundamental things that you can do by yourself, right? That's going to actually generate 80% of the results. Okay. So what is actually in your control? So whenever your leads go cold, your cost per lead spikes, you want to return to these 4 levels because it's the only ones that you can control. Your offer, right? Basically, the offer, if you know what I'm talking about, is basically how you position whatever you sell in the market, right? So if you run a law firm for injuries, how do you present that ad to the market so that it sounds unique and unique to you, all right? Your ads, so basically what we call the creative, so your image ads, your video ads, and these are what is used to attract attention. And then this is where you want to actually spend a lot of your time as well, because that's how Meta ads is actually targeting your audience nowadays instead of targeting. Your patience, like I said, you want to give some time. And lastly, your adaptability. So ability to read what the market is telling you and change course without ego, right? That's very important as well. So why should you do this? You're pretty much telling me the ads are shit, they're not gonna work, blah 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 blah. It takes time. I don't have money. I don't have time. Or I don't want to wait anymore. The reality is, once you do crack the advertising spend, you make a lot more money, right? So once you crack a campaign, you make more money in 1 week than you lost in 2 months of testing. Because once you figure it out, it's like a casino, right? You put $1 in, you get $3 out. Very consistent. The quizzes trap, I already got through this, and the compounding effect. As you get better and better, your ads just naturally, subconsciously get better. It's like playing basketball, where you can't really explain why you're getting better, but you just do, right? So what is the repeatable process that I use to run our campaigns and all our client campaigns as well, generally, is that once we launch a campaign, we evaluate the performance on the 72 hours, so 3 days, and then we decide to either keep the ad going or turn it off, right? So step 1, let it run. So basically, if you just launched a new offer that you're running, you want to let it run for 3 full days at least without making any sort of changes, right? So some people say 3 weeks, some people say 24 hours. I don't believe Meta ads needs 3 weeks to show results anymore, and I think you're wasting money. If you're not getting results, honestly, within the first 48 hours, trust me, that campaign is not going to get any results regardless. Right? I just want to be transparent. So 3 days is a good start. As the campaign is a lot more mature, you can actually start to make changes within 24 hours. But 3 days is a very good fixed mindset that stops you from panic destroying all your ads, right? Stopping them from panically turning them off and run. So having 72 hours is a good way to keep pace of yourself and make data decisions based on numbers instead of a feeling, right? So it doesn't matter whether you're spending $30 per day, $100 per day, $300 per day. Obviously, if you're spending more money, you can shorten the rate of learning because Facebook works on impressions, but at least 48 hours is good for you to actually get some data in, all right? So there's exactly two paths, no ambiguity, no gray area. The leads are coming in the cost per lead is under $15. So if you're a service-based business owner, you're running lead forms, $15 to $20 is a decent level to be. Obviously, less than 10 is best. You basically want to keep the campaign going, right? So the offer itself, it's working, you want to keep it going. If you're getting no leads or very few, the campaign is just not generating enough volume. And obviously, if you've run existing ads before, you have a rough gauge of what a good cost per lead is, right? In that case, if it's not generating the volume that you need, you basically need to diagnose, and I'll show you how to do that very shortly here, right? So if it's working, it's very simple. You just basically want to scale and optimize. If it's not working, you want to basically diagnose the issue and then fix it up, right? So when it's not working, so no leads after 72 hours is a huge, huge signal. So basically what that means is a couple of things are wrong, right? So one of the three possible issues that happens when you run a new offer and you're getting zero leads or very little leads, cost per lead is like $30, $40. For a lead form, that's horrendous, by the way. So firstly, your offer is horrible. So check on that. Secondly, your audience is wrong. So you're targeting the wrong people. So let's just say you're running tuition centers and you're target the entirety of Singapore instead of your location. You start to realize your cost per lead is pretty high. Or very rarely is a shrinking market. Very, very rarely a shrinking market, which I'll go through in a second as well. So the most common fix is just to redo the offer. So stop the campaign, rebuild the offer entirely, and what you can also do is that try to add more friction, reduce more friction. So let us say on your lead form, you have a couple of questions. You want to drop that question down to one or two, right? And try to see whether you can get more people basically to click on the ad and actually apply in the first place, right? So no leads, like I said, bad offer. So the desired outcome that you're promising. So we went through in a full video. If you want to click the link in bio or somewhere, the desired outcome is horrible, right? So whatever you're promising is not what the market wants. I want to say this again. If you're running an offer, a new offer, and you're getting barely any leads, whatever you're promising, whatever you're giving them is not what the market wants. Okay. It doesn't mean you need to change the service altogether. It just means you basically need to package it differently, which means like make it a lot more attractive on the ad itself. The audience that you're targeting, the offer will be fine, but it's being sure that people have no reason to care about it. So you're targeting the wrong people, right? Like I gave you an example, the therapy business, and you get a lot more females engaging with your content and asking for help instead of males. Maybe you need to start looking at that and then you target more females, for example. The last thing I mentioned is a shrinking market. It is very rare, but it does happen. I once worked with the preschool client in Singapore, and it's one of those industries that's just very, very difficult because the fertility rate is sort of dropping down. There's less people who are looking for this, and the ones that are looking for something like this is already going for the bigger preschools that are a bit more advanced. And if the client wasn't willing to make more video ads and show the face and all these kind of things as well. So unfortunately, just not a market we could crack, right? So don't use it as an excuse. It's really, really rare, but it does happen. in that case, you probably need to consider a bit more of Google Ads, unless you're willing to, do things that you might be uncomfortable with, which is making crazy ads. So same thing. What happens? Blah blah blah. You run the ad 70 hours, nothing happens. You basically want to redo the offer. So stop the campaign, 72 hours. Don't let it run. It's not going to change anything. Redo it entirely. Each time you rebuild the offer, get better. So desired outcome, your timeline, your risk reducer, your specific target audience. Improve the offer, make it better. What is the craziest thing that you can do for people that is so good that people feel stupid saying no? And last thing is, maybe you need to build more case studies and show your face. I don't know. Maybe you need to show your face. Maybe it's a industry where trust is horrible. Like if you are in the renovation or ID business, everybody hates renovation ID business because they don't know whether they can trust them or they're a scammer or whatever it is. In that case, you need to make lots of case studies. You need to ask your clients for testimonials and things like that, right? It is possible, but I didn't say it was easy. So the concept that ties everything together is, like I said, here is the patience principle, which I talked about. The thing is, if you're working with an agency or you're working with somebody else or like mainly an agency, you give them 2 weeks, 3 weeks before you make a decision whether to call it, right? So obviously that's very, very difficult because we're fixing the most important part of any business for marketing. So they run it, you assume they're the best agents in the world. If they can't do it, nobody can, and you give up on Facebook ads. Whereas if you're the owner, you can give as much time as yourself to crack it as you like, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. But it's one of those things where most people really, really quit right before the breakthrough, right? So like I was going through here, so every single time you're actually spending money, you're learning something, you're fixing something, right? So this could be the offer, this could be the audience, and as soon as you start to fix it, you start to realize that results start to improve, and eventually you start making money. So when it's working, yay, great. So you follow what I said, you made a good offer. Let's see what to do. All right. So let's see what to do. So the leads are coming in. You want to measure the right metrics. You want to diagnose each layer and tell you, is it a marketing problem or a sales problem? And you want to scale and optimize. All right. So working doesn't mean done. So just because you cracked it doesn't mean your results are going to spike up like this. It's usually a curve like this, actually. I want to be a lot more specific. I'll move my face out of there. So it's more like this. And that's how you scale. Okay. It's more like this. So this is ROI. Right. So it's more like this. So how do you actually start to maintain the campaign, at least at a base level, for you to continue to perform? So the way I do it as working is when leads are coming. So the top of the funnel is functioning. Now you want to actually spend money strategically depending on the budget and the return on investment, and optimize it as well, right? So the real metric is actually the ad spend return, right? So what is your ROI, your ROAS, if you want to call it? So the cost per lead is what gets all the attention. So we speak to business owners. Regularly, and they're all thinking about the cost per lead. The more advanced ones will start to think about cost per quality, lead, cost per, bookings, trials, seminar attendees, webinar attendees, event registrations. They will think about their quotations, but you need to really kind of look at something even more specific, which I'll get to. But the cost per lead is basically incomplete, right? It doesn't matter whether you have a cost per lead of $10 or cost per lead of $300. If every 300 calls per lead you get, you end up closing them for, $5,000. That's much better than having a cost per lead of $10, but you need 300 of those leads to get one $5,000 customer, right? So cost per lead is incomplete. Now it's very useful for telling you whether it's even attracting attention in the first place, which I told you is the most important part. If you don't see any leads in the beginning, that means your offer isn't even working in the first place, and you can quickly redesign the metric, right? Quickly design the offer. I mean, so in the what I'm trying to say is when you're looking at the ROAS, for example, you're running the ads and you're looking at the break-even ROAS, right? So you spend $1,000 and you make back $1,000. That's a break-even. You ideally speaking on Meta ads, you want to target as 3 to 6, or even more, right? If you are able to have a high-ticket niche or high-ticket upsell, in that case, you can even get a 40x ROAS or above. Rare, but it happens. But you really want to start off as at least at a 3 to 6 ROAS on the front end if you can, on the front end, right? So what are the metrics you need? I'm going to walk you through it. So leads, volume, does your team have enough leads to follow up on? So some people only want to get cost per leads of like really, really high quality leads. So, you spend $500 per lead, but then your team is going to do nothing every single day, basically, because you have one lead comes in, right? So you need to mix of volume with a layer of cost per lead. And if your sales team is good, even if it's a bad lead, you'll be able to basically convert them into a customer. Honestly, I might show you what that is. So I'll explain a bit later. All right. So the cost per lead is your campaign health indicator. Now you're attracting the right people at the right cost. This could be cost per submission, cost per registration, but if you're using lead form, cost per lead is where we're going to look at. Your appointments, basically, for most service-based business owners, you're always going to look for some sort of consultation. So they meet up with you in person, on Zoom, online, come to your clinic, come to your center, come to your location, ideally, your physical location, your webinar, seminar. So that is pretty important, right? So how many of these leads actually came up to an appointment? And I prefer this metric quite a bit, which is cost CPA, because I think that's a bigger indicator than cost per lead. The appointment rate is basically 20% minimum target. So if you're running cold advertising and you're running lead forms, 20% of the leads that you get should end up booking into some sort of consultation with you, right? So that you can sell them into whatever service you do. The win rate, ideally speaking, we want to have at least a 20%. That's okay. But obviously, which is honestly something that a lot of people are missing, is to have a really good sales team, which you can bump it up to 30% or even more, right? Depending on your offer, your pricing point, etc. Lifetime value. This is something that is so underrated and people forget. If you get a customer, they're usually customers for quite a while. Your product is good, right? So most advertisers don't actually even look at the return on investment on the ads right away. What they do is they look at the LTV. So let's just say you get a client, they pay $1,000 for the next 3-4 months. That's $4,000, right? So most advertisers are very much happy to spend $2,000 to acquire their customer because they know they can get $4,000 back from that, right? I don't like that. I prefer to be in a position called client finance acquisition, where basically the client immediately pays for your ad spend. So for example, if you spend $1,000 on ads and you collect $2,000 within the first 30 days, they basically pay off your marketing spend. All right, that's how I would prefer it. But just because you acquire a customer for a bit more than the original purchase doesn't mean it's bad. Most advertisers are actually in that boat. Now, the LTV is what I talked about, the client relationship. So if you're a good business, hopefully 90 days and above. The CAC is basically how much it is to acquire one customer, which I'll get to in a second. Very, very important. And your return on ad spend, right? So the lead volume, I've kind of gone through this already. The campaign health is basically talking to you about how good the campaign is, or whether your cost per lead, whether it tells you whether your ads are even attracting the right people at the right cost. It's the leading indicator of campaign health, and it's the first thing I look at. But it's not a campaign. It's not the one that dictates the results of the ads, right? So it tells you whether the offer is working, and if it is, continue to scale up. If it doesn't work, you can change some things up. So let's have a look. So the good cost per lead plus bad conversion is a bad campaign. Cheap leads that never buy are worthless, like I talked to you. Bad CPL plus good conversion is a good campaign. Expensive leads that close at higher rates are extremely valuable. So always the cost per lead in context of what happens after they enter the funnel. So the appointments, ooh, this is a tricky one. This is the fight of the never-ending fight between salespeople and marketing teams. The marketing team says it's bad. I mean, if the leads are good, you're getting tons of leads. The sales team say that's bad, and then everybody fights and everybody blames one another, right? Oh, the sales team is not closing. Oh, the marketing team is bringing bad leads. But fight. Right. So what do you do? So the marketing's job. So I want to define this for you to make it very easy. So as an owner operator, you know whether to blame your sales team or the marketing team. If your marketing team is bringing in leads that are genuinely two conditions that are genuinely interested in your service and has the money to afford it, it's a good lead. Okay? It's a good lead. It's a very simple way to think about it, but I think it's helped me a lot over the last few years of running ads. They're genuinely interested in your service, which means they literally, when you ask them, hey, are you looking to do this? Are you looking to, I don't know, are you looking for physiotherapy? Yes, my back hurts. Okay, are you open to look at my packages? Is it anywhere from 3 to 5K? And they say, yeah, I'm okay. That's an okay price. And the sales team doesn't convert, that's a sales issue. But if the sales team is getting leads that say, huh? Who's this? What's my number? I don't know. I don't know what's my number. I don't think I registered for this one. Or no, your package is too expensive, way too expensive. I will find somebody cheaper. I can find somebody at 1/4 of your price. That is the marketing's issue, right? So marketing teams, that's the issue for them. So they're not getting you the right leads. Okay. Or worst case, they're not even getting you leads that even reply back at all. You send them a message, you call them out 10 times, no response. That's a marketing issue. So have a look. So when the appointments are low, make sure you diagnose this first. Is this a marketing issue or a sales problem? Once you do, you can start to put your resources and time into looking into fixing it. So what are you looking for? So you're not going to expect every lead to come in and become an appointment or a consultation or a webinar. You're looking for 20%. That's for lead forms, obviously. If you're running websites and other things, you can expect higher ones, but the cost for lead is simply going to be a lot higher, right? So the appointment rate is basically you take the total amount of appointments booked over your total leads. So 20% is the minimum. Now, why are you saying it's so low? Because these are cold leads. They don't know you. They don't like you. It's not Google Ads or something like that, where people are actively searching for your business. But that also means it's very small amount of people that are actually doing it. Because these are cold leads, they don't know you. They don't like you. They're at the very bottom of the buying cycle, which I think it is now a good time for me to explain. So you got your pyramid. That's the wrong way to draw it. It doesn't really matter. So you have, let's say this is someone, when someone buys, okay? Let's just call this, I don't care, apologies from the handwriting. So I'll write it down here. I don't care about your service. Okay. Okay, and then you have these people, which is I want to buy now. Okay. So you don't have, this is a pyramid, all right? It's called a funnel actually, but we just call it a pyramid. So what happens is they go from I don't care about your service to I want to buy now. Okay. Now, you don't know this, only 3% of, come on, what's my color? Only 3% of people who are looking for your service wants to buy now. 3%. So if 100 people, only 3 of them actually wants to buy right now in the market. Okay. So there is the remaining 97%. So the bad expectation that some of you have is that you're going to run Facebook ads and they're all going to buy now. Well, the reality is 97 people that comes in, that if they do even register in the first place, you need to work them into actually wanting to buy now. That is why a good sales team is so important for Facebook ads. Not they register, yeah, maybe you get 1 to 3 people that actually want to buy now, but 97% of them needs love to make them to buy now. Your sales team is so important here, right? If you run something like Google Ads, for example, yes, you can actually target the people that are much closer, like 3% or the 10% here, etc. Okay, so why don't you just run Google Ads? Because there's only 3 people there. Only 3% of people there on a search campaign. You have, which means if you know how to run Facebook ads, you can get 97 people. And then from there, you can get, let's just say 20 people. So about, around 20 clients compared to getting 3 only on Google Ads. I hope that makes sense. So it's a give and take relationship. There's pros and cons. The pros of running Facebook ads is that you get a target 97%, which means if you're good, you make a lot of money, right? So you need to master the full process and kind of get that down. So that's the whole thing. So you just need to expect that because of this difference in buying cycles, you want to get 97 of them that register. You need to just get 20 of them to actually book an appointment. Okay? There's a big appointment. And that's, like I said, that's why they're cold leads. There are cold leads, which means you need to be good at sales and patient with nurturing. A 20% appointment rate from cold traffic, which is at 97%, requires real effort and not a one-time follow-up and shrug. Honestly, if you think you can just respond to them, hey, they reply to your ads, and you just put, okay, when would you want to come down, and you just put that, of course you're not going to get results, right? You don't understand the scale and the volume it takes to get this done. And honestly, if you want this, we do have an AI that actually can book these appointments in for you. If you click the button below in the link in bio, you should be able to see it. So basically, the AI is actually going to message all your leads for you on WhatsApp, Instagram, and Facebook Messenger, and actually get them booked in for an appointment, because you don't need sales skills, and the AI is a sales agent that I've trained with the top salespeople on the planet, and all our templates and scripts that we use to book 30 to 40% of the leads as well. So try that if you want to have a look. So I've already kind of gone through this. The 5th century, like I said, the sales problem, if they are interested in your service and have money, right? The marketing problem is if they have no idea why they registered or they only have $20, right? So i.e. if the wrong people are entering the funnel, blame your marketing. If the raw materials are there and the conversion rate is falling, you train your sales team up, okay? So yeah, this is the Hydra AI that I mentioned. So it actually does this for you. And the beauty of using the AI is that, unlike humans, it's very, very consistent, and whatever you train it, it will do. You never really have to worry about inconsistency, right? So you have a very, very good diagnosis on what happened. So when you use the AI and you don't see a 30% booking rate, after you train it, of course, the marketing is screwing up somewhere. But if you see a 30% booking rate and nobody's closing, for sure that a sales team is not doing its job. Because the sales team, the bot should only be booking. The bot is trained to only book in qualified appointments, i.e. people that are interested and have the money. So if they don't book, that means the marketing is just bad. Okay, so win rate, what are you looking for in terms of win rate? So closing deals, basically. So the formula is simple: if deals won over the appointments held. I think a realistic start is 20%. It might be worse, it might be better, but that's a decent industry rate. But depending on your offer, your ticket size, you can go to 30 to 50%, right? I don't think that's that very important, but yes. So let's just say if we look at it, if you get 100 leads, you get 20 appointments, and you get 4 deals won, right? So you're getting a lot of volume. You're booking 20%, and you get 4 deals won. You just have to make sure that these 4 people that win, right, pays back for your advertising, or the lifetime value of the client is way more than what you're paying for advertising. Alternatively, you can have less leads, right? You can put less leads in and have a higher appointment rate and more deals won. Or you can have, which I think is a great strategy, have 200 leads, have 40 appointments, and have 8 deals won. You still make way more money, right? So this is a realistic sort of idea. Not 100 leads, 100 appointments, and 100 deals won. Like I said, the optimization strategy is very simple. You kill losers. Oh yes, this is a new part. So I haven't really gone into how you do that on Meta. I'm going to show you that right away. But basically, you kill the losers, you duplicate winners, you test new angles. I already told you the leads but no bookings. Make sure that if you're getting lots of leads but no bookings, you have a sales problem. Make sure that they're following up with the speed, follow-up frequency, and having an appointment setup might be great. If not, just use the AI like I told you. You're getting a lot of appointments that are good quality, but nobody's closing. Man, if nobody's closing, you need to check what's happening, right? You need to be adaptable, like I said, which I'll go through. And then you have a high non-responder rate, which means no one is responding to the ads at all. You will need to kill the ad. Let me go through it all right now. So every campaign needs a regular optimization rhythm. This is standard. It keeps your brain functional. And this is what I'm going to tell you to do. So what you want to do is duplicate the winning ad twice. So basically take the best performer that you have on that week, on the 72-hour cycle, duplicate it twice, right? And then so Meta sort of gets a right idea of this ad is doing pretty well. And then you want to put new angles, new tweaks, new variations. Now with Andromeda, this is super important to have complete separate ideas. Just put anything and everything that you think might relate, different angles. Angles meaning like, for example, if you are a tuition center, you want to do math, science, something else. Or if you only do math tuition, students struggling with algebra, students struggling with binomials, I don't know, something like that. So trying different angles, and you just launch the ad. There doesn't need to be any more targeting that happens anymore. You can just run your ads. However, just put a bunch of ads in and let Meta do the work, basically. So like I said, if you're getting leads but no bookings, so the leads that are coming in and no one's responding, the campaign is doing its job. The problem is downstream. Make sure that you're reaching out instantly, not next day. You have a 391% chance of you closing a lead if you reach out to them instantly. Obviously, that's not possible, so I recommend setting up some AI or some at least some automations in place. You need to follow up 3 to 5 times, not one time and answer one question and you leave. You need to follow up 3 to 5 times, which is so common. Like, I don't know how many campaigns I've ran and they're like, oh, the leads are not answering me back. Yeah, because you don't follow up with them. They probably reply to like 6 other ads. You need to make sure that you're creating good value on those ones, right? Appointment setting. This is a skill. This is a huge skill. It is a dance to actually get them to book in, because like I said, they're very low on the funnel, right? On the pyramid I showed you. So you need to know what you need to do. All right. And the last one is to trust the marketing. If you're getting, like I said, leads that are responsive and interested in your service and have the money, you need to trust the marketing and make sure that you know how to sell properly. All right. If you keep blaming everything on the marketing and not the sales team, and you don't want to put time and effort to improving it, or this actually usually happens for larger businesses, which we see. They may basically do a lot of ads on Google Ads or Carousel, and they are not willing to change their offer or change or train their team, because they're all very used to easy deals. You're not going to be able to make it on Facebook ads, right? So that's that. So if you're getting responses, you're getting appointments but no closes, just listen to the objections, say what everyone is saying, and make a solution for it. So for example, if a common objection reveals a barrier, uh, right, then you need to start working on the sales side. If, for example, you're getting a whole bunch of appointments and everybody's seeing the exact same objection, which is something that your sales team can't fix. For example, everybody's wanting to come down, wants to join online for the event or whatever and not in person, then there's nothing your sales team can do, right? So in that case, what you want to do is start to add qualification questions on the lead form. So right now you might just have a name, phone number, etc. Now you want to add one more question that says, seminar is fully in person at my location. Can you make it? Yes or no? If they say no, they won't be added as a lead. So Facebook starts to optimize and get more people who are interested in going for an in-person event instead of an online event. Now, but the thing is, you need to be careful. The more questions you ask, there's going to be a greater disqualification rate, which means every question you add onto this form, you're going to have a drop off of 50%. So let's say you put one question, you're going to have 50% drop off rate. So let's say your cost per lead is $10. You're probably going to start getting leads that are now $20, but they're obviously better qualified. If you add another question, that's going to be, $40, right? But they're obviously going to be better qualified. So adapt the offer, right? In terms of what happens, learn what else you can add into your offer to make it work. So for example, instead of just saying, oh, we only do in person, if you're getting so much attention for online events, can you offer something online? That's what I mean by adaptability, right? So learn what you can reduce at entry, make it easy for them to say yes. And like I said, be adaptable. The world won't revolve around you. The market is always right. And you can either choose to fight the market or go with the market. So if you're getting no response at all from the marketing, so 40% of the leads that you're getting is just not responding at all. In that case, the marketing is shit. All right. So that means what happens is the ad itself might be really bad. So the creative itself. So you just want to change the ad, right? It's not the offer. It's not the offer because the offer is working. It is that the ad itself might be attracting the wrong people. In that case, you want to create, a complete new creative. I'll tell you why. So let's just say if the offer was bad, you would get no leads at all, right? You get no leads at all. If your offer is good and you're getting leads, but the leads that are coming in is non-responders, which means they're not responding at all, it means that the creative itself or the form, or the lead form is bad. Okay, so in that case, you might want to add another qualifying question. So basically what I would suggest is to run a new creative for the next 3 days because the results are bad. And if the response rate improves, that means that is true, right? It's the ad that's a problem. If it doesn't improve, you might want to, worst case scenario, change the offer. But the first thing you want to do is add a qualifying question into the form. So we get responder leads. You can add an SMS verification if you like or something else. Second thing you want to do is change that creative again. And the last thing is offer. But like I said, it's unlikely to be the offer if you're getting a lot of leads. I'm not going to go through this much, but lifetime value, we're already going to cover it quite a bit. You just basically take how much your clients are spending with you over your relationship, right? So if you're a personal trainer and you make $2,000 a month of them, and they typically stay with you for 6 months, 12 months, that'll be $24,000. So in that case, you should be very okay with spending, $1,000 to get a lead or get a customer because they typically stay with you for, they typically give you back $24,000, right? So that's how you want to think of marketing. CAC is basically your total ad spend divided by the number of customers required. Yep. So basically, if you spend $5,000 and you get 10 customers, you get $500 per customer, right? Sorry, it costs $500 for you to acquire a customer. Now, this is important because You obviously want to make sure that your CAC is as low as possible because that gives you the remaining things to pay for other stuff like profit and retainers and others. All right. Now the ROAS is a good scaling metric. It tells you whether you're actually starting to achieve CFA. I don't really use LTV much for this because like I said, I prefer to have a campaign that's always making me money. So I don't really look at the LTV too much on this. So let's just say I spend $1,000 on the ads and I make $5,000 in the next 30 days of this client. That is what I would want to deem as return on ad spend. All right, because that helps you scale a bit more aggressively. This is important, but for most of you, it's not going to be that important at this stage yet. So like I said, your ROAS tells you your profitability overall on the campaigns. The CAC is very more important. It tells you how much you're paying per customer. And if you know how much you're paying per customer, you can check your unit economics really well and see whether you can scale the campaign further. Your LTV is super, super important. A lot of you advertisers think that you forget that a customer actually stays with you, especially if you're a service-based business owner, that customers stay with you for a couple of months, right? So you need to include that and not say just because you don't make money off the first month, nothing is working. Okay. All right. So that's the end of this video. So like I said, the mindset, the process, the metrics, the optimization strategies. Look, I'm still new to this whole YouTube thing as well. So if I'm not explaining things really clearly, just put in the comments below, or better yet, I may not be able to answer. You do have an option to join a group chat with me directly where you can get one-on-one calls. You can ask me questions and I'll reply to you as quickly as possible, which is within the same day. So same day responses. And I'll be able to walk you through this a lot more because I know some of these things can be complex, and because I am also a big fan of education, I know that just because you watch a YouTube video or just because you read a book doesn't mean you know how to necessarily take the nuances and bring that into reality with the business. So if you're gonna ask me really specific questions, there is a group chat which you can join. It is paid, obviously, but it is pretty cheap at the moment. It will start to go up as we start to get more members. So it's a really good time if you think about it, because there's a very few members right now. So you get to actually have a lot more personalized attention to me. Once it gets a lot bigger, the opportunity is going to pass, and you're going to be basically joining, I don't know, a couple hundred other people. In that case, responses are going to be a bit slower, right? So if you want to join that group now, there's a link in bio. You can ask me questions. I'll get back to you. There's a weekly one-on-one live calls with me as well, so that you can actually ask me questions live and get direct feedback on your campaigns and your offers and go through the next process. So that's it. Like I said, monitor your metrics, optimize based on what you see, not what you feel. Kill what's working and double down on what it is. And I'm going to quickly show you in Ads Manager how you do that, right? So let's just say I just pull out some random campaign from a long time ago, right? So you have the campaign, you have the ad set, and then you have the 3 ads or 4 ads or the 10 ads that you're running. Every 3 days, you basically go, every 3 days like this. I don't know when I run these ads though. Okay. Basically, you go, let's just say you run the ads for these 3 days. Let's go check here. Okay. So let's just say you're on the 19th now, right? You're on the 20th right now. So you go the last 3 days, you click on it, and you see the results. Now, let's just say the results is that this ad got four leads at $25, which is better than the other ones, right? And the remaining ads, they spent $40 and $40 and they got 0 leads. So very simple. What you do is you turn these ones off. You press duplicate original setup. You're gonna duplicate it twice. Press show existing reactions and comments and chats. and then you wanna, I don't know, call this um, ad 4, and this one will be ad 5, right? So you have the original one, and then you have the two variants, and then you want to actually change the creative. So press edit media, and just swap it for another creative or another angle. And like you said, this is a campaign structure. I just let the ads run and let Meta do the targeting for you. But that's it. So that's how you update the ads every 3 days, and then you continuously double down on what's working, like I said. So that's it. Have a look at the link in bio if you want to see more things that we can do for you. We can either teach you exactly how to do it or run the ads directly for you if you qualify. If you want to check out Hydra AI as well, that's down link in bio. Other than that, see you on the next video.